Good afternoon, folks. This is Cloud Chartist with my weekly Ichimoku wrap for the week ending July 17th. This is the 19th, Sunday night. We're going to be looking at crude to start off. Crude is changing contracts this week. I'm going to be looking at the August contract, but we're going to be rolling either today or tomorrow to the U5 contract. So keep that in mind if you trade crude. So looking at the August weekly, we see that we're this chart is fully bearish. We're under the cloud, under the Tenkan-sen, under the Kijun-sen. We did put in a bear cross last week. Last week's candle closed pretty much near the lows, very small topping tail, but it is a bit smaller, tighter range than the prior candle, so we could be slowing down as far as selling goes. But there's no indication of a bounce or a reversal yet. If we do get a bounce, we have resistance at 56.18 above the Tenkan-sen, or wherever the Tenkan-sen opens for the next week, or wherever the price action is on the new contract. We'll see. But there's nothing to suggest that we are going to reverse thus far, so fully bearish for crude at the moment. Alright, let's look at ES. ES is entirely the opposite of crude, entirely bullish. We put in a major reversal after tagging the Kijun-sen 2 weeks ago. Then we sold off below the Kijun-sen, but put in a bullish close above the Kijun-sen, but slightly below the Tenkan-sen. And then last week we came down and retested the Kijun-sen one more time, and then blasted to and closed on the highs. We're just slightly under the all-time high, so there's no reason to think that we're not going higher. In fact, we have a rising cloud coming up in the future to support us. The cloud is flat-ish at the moment, but then it's sort of stepping up to another higher level and then going to serious ramp up. So we'll see what happens then. That's not, the ramp doesn't occur until like October, so we'll see. But for now, ES is 100% bullish. Let's look at the YM. Similar to the ES, very similar to the ES, except it closed off the highs. A little bit of a topping tail in the YM. So watch 17844 if we do get some selling. The Tenkan-sen to act as support on the YM. That's the Dow. Let's look at the TF, the Russell. And bear with me for 1 sec. Alright, the Russell is bullish. We see that we came down and didn't quite test the Kijun-sen, but almost tested the Kijun-sen, and then came up and tested the Tenkan-sen, but could not put a close above the Tenkan-sen. This was 2 weeks ago, and then last week we opened between the Kijun-sen and the Tenkan-sen and blasted through the Tenkan-sen and put in a close above with a little bit of a topping sail. So obviously this 1265-ish area is resistance, been resistance for quite some time. We see ever since March we've had resistance at this level continuously until we were able to blast above it in June. And then put in this high and then sold, but we could easily be retesting the high in the coming weeks. We have a Tenkan-sen that's pointing up, showing the upward price momentum, the Kijun-sen pointing up, cloud rising, everything fully bullish for the Russell here. Let's look at the NASDAQ, who's the winner of last week for sure. That $90 Google move on Friday was significant, as was a huge move on Netflix, and Apple was very bullish. Many NASDAQ stocks were very bullish last week. I didn't even look at the biotechs actually, but anyway, so because there's quite a few in there. So this is a breakout, obviously, from this ranging pattern. They close at the high. If we do get some selling, we can look at 44.92.88 to act as support if we do come back down. We did fill this gap, this big gap down that we had from the last month, the end of last month. So fully bullish for the NASDAQ. Let's look at the metals. This chart does not look very good, does it? This is gold. Gold is very bearish. I wasn't watching gold on the last couple of days of the week. I'm surprised actually. It's really quite bearish. Everything about this chart is bearish. Very large bearish candle closing almost on the lows. Underneath the Tenkan-sen, underneath the Kijun-sen, underneath the cloud. No support for the Chikou coming in anytime soon. So let's look at the monthly real quick on gold. See if we have anything to depend upon as far as levels go. We do have this area over here from 2009 that we can look at as potential support. That's around 1078. That's also approximately when the Chikou, this red line here representing price time shifted 26 periods into the past, will come into the cloud. So I'm sure that the gold bulls wouldn't like it very much or the gold bugs wouldn't really like it if we tested 1078, but it looks possible to me. It looks possible that we could lose 1100 here. As far as potential things in the favor, I'll just tell you about what I see as potentially bullish on the monthly. The fact that the Chikou is still in the cloud means it still has potential for support. That's different from on the weekly. Also, we do have the flat Tenkan-sen above that price could be attracted to, and there's a cloud twist coming up in the future on the monthly, but that's not until the beginning of next year, so 2016. So quite a ways to wait for that. Let's go back to the weekly. So we also have a lower cloud coming up ahead on the weekly. Eventually, if we continue to sell, we will hit the oversold RSI and might get a bounce there. So overall, not looking too bullish for gold. Let's look at silver. You can ignore my fibs, or unless you like my fibs, it might be might be a potential important level there at 1450. So yeah, more selling for silver, although we did not make a new low. This spike low was like pretty random BS, if you ask me. I'll watch that one happen, and silver has a tendency to do that, those kind of crazy low volume, low liquidity type moves. So we actually caught a significant bounce after this spike low was put in. As you can see, this last 2 weeks ago candle was a hammer pattern and could have suggested a reversal to the upside. In fact, we did reverse to the upside and made a new high, but we were unable to hold and unable to move further towards the Tenkan-sen above and close near the lows on silver. So we do still have the flat Tenkan-sen above, so until the Tenkan-sen starts pointing down, we will have it as potential to attract price higher, but I have a feeling that chances are good that when this silver reopens for this week's trading, that the Tenkan-sen will be pointing down. We shall see. All right, let's look at copper, since I'm going over metals and I haven't looked over at copper in a while. Copper looks similar to silver and gold, although this is an area of support here. You can see from this prior support area. We also have the flat Tenkan-sen and Kijun-sen above, so it's possible that copper could put in a bounce here. It doesn't look quite as bearish, and a little bit more of a bottoming tail here, and this prior support level over here. So, but overall, bearish for copper. Let us look at some grains. Let's look at corn. So, I was skeptical from an Ichimoku perspective when corn put in this giant up move over the cloud. And the reason I was skeptical is because in Ichimoku charts, when price breaks out over the cloud, the first time it doesn't generally hold. Oftentimes price gets sucked back into the cloud. But my skepticism was disproven when we put in 2 weeks ago's candle, which continued higher, put a bit of a topping tail in. What happened then also, though, is that the Chikou, this red line over here to the left, which is representing price time shifted into the past 26 weeks in this particular case, came and hit the cloud, and look what happened. Got rejected. So the Chikou got rejected back under the cloud, and price sold off. Put in some significant topping tails here. Despite the fact that this chart is overall bullish and still in an uptrend, in that we did not put in a lower high or a lower low, we still have a higher high last week and a higher low compared to the prior week's candle. This looks like a potential reversal lower to me, and I think I would not be surprised to see us retest the cloud. A retest and hold of the cloud, however, would be bullish for higher prices in the future. We got to keep an eye on the Chikou and see what that does, because if you really want to be bullish for corn on a longer term basis, you need to see this get back out of the cloud sooner than later. It could continue to be rejected from the cloud, in which case, as we move forward in time, could force the price back into the cloud eventually. We do have the Tenkan-sen inside the cloud offering support, so if we do lose the top of the cloud at 420.50, we could come down and test the Tenkan-sen somewhere inside the cloud. It's currently at 450, but it might not necessarily stay there. We also have, we got overbought on the RSI, so that was sort of begging for a little bit of selling. So we could be just bull flagging here, as far as I know, for the time being with corn. So wait and see what happens. I'll be very cautious as far as thinking that the bottom is in and that it's only upside from here. Let's look at my chart be locked up. It's unusual for this to happen when there's no trading going on. But my broadcasting software is using up a lot of my CPU at the moment. Please bear with me for a moment. Well, I'm gonna I'm gonna give it one more second. All right, good. Let us look at soybeans. Sorry for the testing your patience there. So soybeans are on the weekly time frame bearish under the cloud. They're unable to get into the cloud. See that we tested the cloud 2 weeks ago, tested the cloud again 2 weeks ago and closed underneath it, and then last week we made it into the cloud for a fair bit and then put in a close significantly under the cloud. So we could come down and test the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen, which are confluent at the moment at 982.75. The Tenkan-sen is coming up to attempt to make a bull cross, but it may or may not do so. Could just go sideways like that, or it could go back to being bear crossed, and by bear cross, the Kijun-sen being over the Tenkan-sen. If we look over here to the left, we see that the Chikou span is inside the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen candles inside the candles, and is finding support at the inside this big red candle, but slightly below the Kijun-sen. See, the Kijun-sen is at 1009-ish thereabouts, and this candle closes at 10. What is it exactly? 1061. Oh, sorry. Let me look. Close 1006.25 is where the close is on the candle. So the Chikou over here is not holding the Kijun-sen, so that's significant. It looks like the potential for lower prices in soybeans is pretty high. Let's look at wheat. Wheat is actually came down and tested the Tenkan-sen and bounced off it, so that's kind of bullish for potential for wheat, even though the chart is bearish overall. We busted, this is sort of what is typical of Ichimoku charts that I was sort of surprised about corn not doing, which is we broke over the cloud on strong buy momentum and then got sucked back in, and even underneath in this particular instance for wheat. So as long as we hold the 545.75 level, we should continue sideways in a range between that 545.75 and the top of the cloud here. Next week is going to be around 584.66 thereabouts. So let's look at the dollar. Oops. Let's watch me type better. Dollar's still in this phenomenal bull flag pattern, fully bullish on it in Ichimoku terms. Came down, tested the weekly Tenkan-sen. In fact, let's see what the low was, 95.73, and the Tenkan-sen was 95.69, so it actually bounced slightly higher than the Tenkan-sen. But put in a very nice bounce and closed on the high. So dollar still looks quite bullish here. As we travel forward in time, there's support at the cloud, which is down in the 90s, but eventually in the fall, the support for the dollar will be back up here around the 95 level. As you see, the cloud is rising. So keep in mind the Kijun-sen level at 96.57 and the Tenkan-sen level at 95.69, or wherever those are when we reopen. Let's look at the Nikkei. Nikkei is fully bullish. We put in a rather precarious candle last week, and I told just about everybody I knew to buy this and stay long, and I don't think anybody listened to me, but it would have been over a 1,000 point move if they had. Let's see, so we sold down to like 191, or sorry, 19,186. Let's see what the actual low was. 19165. Put in a close at 27.45, so you can do the math and figure out what that profit would have been to stay long the Nikkei. It was real clear and evident when we put in a close over the Tenkan-sen 2 weeks ago that price was going higher, and I mentioned in my weekly video. So I expect the Nikkei to make new highs next week. No reason that it shouldn't. Looking at this chart, fully bullish. Let's look at some bonds. Let's look at ZB. ZB was pretty much unfadable last week, but very range bound. We did put in a close above the Tenkan-sen here, so we could come back up and test the Kijun-sen at 155.10 area. But so far it's looking like a range trade between there and the Tenkan-sen down below. The Tenkan-sen is at, let's see, 151.19. So if we lose 151.19, that would be a nice short opportunity to go lower down, test the cloud 144 area. in 44.25 area, I should say. And if we do get above the Kijun-sen, we can look for higher prices for sure. This is a bear cross, so the Kijun-sen is crossed over the Tenkan-sen, so that is a bearish divergence in otherwise bullish chart. Let's look at the 10-year. 10-year looking quite different from the 30-year, as you can see. Still, it's bearish in downtrend. The last week's candle was unable to put in a higher high and a higher low, so it put in a lower high and a lower low, and closed underneath the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen. I was looking at this 126, 100 level, which was where the Tenkan-sen was at as potential resistance, and indeed that was resistance for sure. So if we do get over the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen, then we could come up and test the cloud, which is 126.26 area. If we do get into the cloud, then we could come up and test the top of the cloud if we have any upside. We'll also have the Chikou span, this red line over here, representing price time shifted 26 weeks in the past on this chart. That can come up and test the Kijun-sen here. Also, there's the potential for that. And I don't know if there's anything else that we need to look at. We could look at the euro. Euro came up and tested the Tenkan-sen and sold off, closed near the lows. Euro's bearish in all things Ichimoku. We do have prior support in this area though, however, so we could, you see we have the prior support and being tested a few times. Prior resistance at this point became resistance, but so this is kind of a pivotal level for the euro here. Let's look at coffee for the fun of it, because I like to look at coffee. Although the chart has not been very inspiring lately, we see that we're still bear flagging underneath the Tenkan-sen yet again. Not very exciting. Well, I think I will wrap it up. Thank you for watching, and if you're interested in learning more about Ichimoku charts, check out my website, cloudchartist.com, or get in touch with me on Twitter at cloudchartist. Hit me up. And I do have a chat room, still offering a special rate for the time being, a special summer rate. Well, things are sort of slow here. It's a great time to learn. And anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again. If you want to follow me here on Ticker TV, I do videos every day. I come on and broadcast live, so if you follow me, they'll send you an email letting you know that I'm broadcasting live, and you can tune in. Okay, I'll have a great rest of the weekend. And